one. And welcome back, fourth and long fans. It's your AFL correspondent, Donnie Hess, here with another interview in my little series going around with American AFL fans. And today we have Sam Jordan with me today. Sam, how you doing, sir?
Oh, not too bad. Just living the dream and living life.
Oh boy, oh boy. Every day is just so much fun in today's world nowadays.
Yeah.
So I thought we'd hop on and just to kind of start off this little discussion or little chat that we're going to have here. I thought, why don't we give you a quick little bio about kind of who you are, where you live, where you're from, yada yada. Let's not get into the footy right now, more just a little bit about who we're going to learn about today.
Yeah. So I am from Pennsylvania originally, living in Arizona. I am also a teammate of Danny Marshall, which she is the first United States woman to play and obtain a contract with an AFLW team. So very proud of her. Shout out to Danny. Um, but just living here in Arizona, I currently laid off from American Airlines and working for AT&T in the midtime. I have 3 kids. I have a travel blog called Travelroo. It's about my travels in Australia and covering different businesses, zoos, all different kinds of things. That's like really my passion. I love Australia, so hopefully we can get these borders opened up and get over there and be able to explore more. And I'm an aviation enthusiast, so anytime there's an airplane, I'm usually hovered around looking at it. And I'm just an all-around sports person. I love Aussie rules. I love rugby, cricket, um, American football, hockey. So I'm a I'm more of a sports fan. So when I'm not working, I'm just relaxing, watching sports. Uh, Really just into everything, like reading. Currently going to school for a paralegal degree to go to law school, and yeah, just trying to maximize my life and what I'm doing with it.
Awesome. Sounds like you're just Mr. Mr. Do It All there. Kind of cool. You sound like it. You and I are some kindred spirits. Anytime sports are on, I'm the same way. Just always love watching sports. So kind of going off that, footy. How did you get into footy? I mean, you said you're a huge travel person. So was it because you saw a game in Australia, or did you see it on YouTube? Like, what was your story? How did you find footy?
So I found footy. I moved here to Arizona, and I went to Australia. Just I think it was back in 2018. I went to visit my one of my best friends lives in Australia as an Aussie citizen slash U.S. citizen, and happened to go over to her place, and one of her roommates was watching. I believe it was Hawthorne and Eston, and he was like, "Hey, do you know this game, mate? Like it's Aussie rules football." We were just down the road from the MCG in Melbourne, and so we put it on. We were going to go down to the game, but by the time I got over to their place, it was already like into the second period or the second round of the. At that time, I didn't know what to call it. But yeah, so just got kind of hooked on that. So I kind of followed Hawthorne because I saw them play. Um, but yeah, I was just like, oh, this is cool. Kind of when I went back on the plane, it was on the TV for the live shows to watch. And so I started watching again. I forget what game that was. And then so when I got home, I was like, oh, I typed in, where is the nearest AFL team to the United States, thinking that there was like, and then all of a sudden the Arizona Hawks popped up. And so I got in contact with our coach, the legend, the guru, Darren Henderson here. He's our coach with the Arizona Hawks. And so I got connected there. And then Danny Marshall, like we just started, her and her husband, Ryan, we just kind of connected and we were hanging out. I think it was after the grand final party that our team and most of the teams in the USAFL host. And so we were just hanging out, and then I got to know Danny. Danny became my kid's babysitter for a couple weeks, and yeah. So and then Danny and she would come out and kick with me and teach me some of the fundamentals of the game, even though she was really learning too. And then Danny obviously was doing really well in the US AFL and captured the attention of, I believe he's a talent scout for one of the teams over there. And he, he got her into coming over for a tryout. So kind of followed that. And then when Danny signed her contract, we had a little bit of a media buzz. So I helped handle that for her, where we had all the local news channels. A couple of national channels picked it up, just, from the locals. And so, yeah, so it's been pretty cool. I've been involved with that. I serve as a member at large with the Arizona Hawks, on their board, and I'm just involved trying to make our team the best it can be. This year kind of was really rough because we didn't have any matches, and Nationals was on the West Coast this year, so it was a little bit of a bummer. But we're hoping that Nationals will pick up next year again with hopefully the COVID stuff will start to kind of draw back a little bit. So, yeah, so that's my story with footy. Just I was in Australia, happened to watch it, then came back to the States, tried to get connected with it, and then ended up getting connected with the team locally here. And as they say, the rest is history.
That's a very unique story. Rather cool. I know one of the things I'm hoping after this series, I'd love to get a contact with Danny Marshall and just have a chat with her. I mean, I know she was quite a hot commodity there for about through it 2 or 3 months. I swear every podcast I had, we have Danny Marshall on it. I was like, wow. I mean, she's probably going to get sick and tired of all these podcast interviews. So
I think she
as
enjoys it. So, yeah,
yeah,
she's sharing her story because it's unique. She had just picked up the game, and I won't ruin it all because I don't want to ruin a future episode there. But like, she just happened to come across it on ESPN when she was watching it with a fellow teammate of hers, I believe, in college or something. So it was pretty cool. And then she just picked it up and really took interest in it, and now made it professionally. And she is now a member of the Western Bulldogs, and we're very proud of her at the Arizona Hawks. So shout out to Danny there. I know she's in preseason training right now for AFLW. So we're hoping for a season over there. So um, definitely give a chance if you see one of their games. They're online, so check it out. Western Bulldogs, go Dogs.
it's pretty cool. So I got to ask, who's your AFL team? I mean, and it sounds like you're definitely going to keep an eye on Danny Marshall and the Western Bulldogs. Who's your AFL team?
I'd have to say that wholeheartedly. It's the Brisbane Lions. I am a huge Charlie Cameron fan. Uh, I don't know, like, he's just a explosive player, and just kind of gained attention to that. And then my mate that lived in Melbourne moved to Brisbane. And so the next time when I went over, she was in Brisbane. So her apartment overlooked the GABA.
Oh,
Um,
jeez.
it was completely dope. Like, we would sit out there and drink beers and look at the footy practices going on there. And it was one of the coolest spots, but very the apartment that it was. I'm sure I don't want the bill for that rent, but it was a very cool place. My good friend over there, Richard, was kind enough to allow me to come over whenever I wanted while I was there, and just got to kind of take in the GABA as one of the more historic grounds that are in the AFL.
Cool. Definitely interesting. Definitely a club that I think is an up and coming club, a club that I definitely see is definitely has a shot for the flag here in the next few years. But I gotta ask for me, I'm a person that'll get up at 2 a.m. and watch the game. What would you consider your fandom when it comes to the Lions? I mean, are you a get up at 1:30 in the morning to watch a game live on the Watch AFL app? Or you a I'll watch it in the next morning on tape delay on the Watch AFL app, so then I don't have to worry about the commercials. I mean, how would you consider your fandom of the Brisbane Lions?
So I'd have to say, like, when I first got into it, so like a year, almost 2 years ago now, um, I watched it. I would, if it was on, like, because there's a time slot usually for like a 10 o'clock game, and then the rest are usually at 2:30, 3 o'clock. So well, the first year I started watching it, I would stay up for it. Um, if I had to work the next day, I would go to bed because unfortunately, but the good part of it was I was going to work at 4:30 in the morning, so it allowed me to watch it or listen to it on the drive into work, and so it was really cool. But then this year, as everybody knows, with no sports in the United States, at least for the good chunk of the early part of 2020, I would watch it religiously, even if that meant being dog tired for work. But with being laid off, I didn't have to work as much. I would do odds ends and doing DoorDash delivery. So I always made time that I was going to be home for the games. And luckily this year we got a couple games where it was early 9, 10 o'clock starts here in the States. And then um, most of the games were big because, you always want to see your team win. And obviously the Lions did really well this year. Um, so yeah, I would say I'm pretty diehard. I have a lot of Lions stuff slowly accumulating. I have several sets of their jerseys, um, and a lot of the people over there have been very nice to me. Shout out to the I drawing a blank on her name, but they actually sent me over a bunch of cool like little uh, like an indigenous jersey. They sent me over a couple jerseys from a couple seasons back that have a different logo on them, a couple alternates, and then they sent me over some polos. And last year I had the unique privilege to hold the any AFL championship, which they went undefeated. And so that was pretty cool, holding that championship trophy. I got a private tour of all the uh, flags that they had won from the three-peat years. So they've been very, very kind. I love the Brisbane Lions front office there. They are super accommodating. Anytime I'm there, they tell me to come by. Usually I walk away from there and they'll have a mess load of different things for me, programs from the previous season. Um, this year, since I have my travel blog, we're doing a video series as well, and we're actually going to do an interview with the GABA, which was supposed to happen after the grand final, as the GABA did get to host it for the first time ever. So I have it's been really cool. They've been giving me a lot of exclusive type access to the team and the arena there, or the stadium.
Oh, that's really, really cool, and it's great that you got that connection with the GABA and all that. That's absolutely awesome. I mean, I know uh, with mine with the Swans, it's so many meeting so many people online and then getting all this. Like I had a person who I was talking to at one time that offered. She says, if you ever come down here, I got free tickets to the SCG games like that, and we'll try to get you to into the maybe get into the change rooms. So it's like the generosity of many of the people in the front office and the supporters of the club is just absolutely amazing. So that's really, really cool to see that. So going off of that, huge Lions fan, and I think you kind of already kind of tipped your hand on this. Who's your favorite player currently? And then have you delved into the history of the Lions and maybe an older Lion, even though we do have the fact that this was a kind of a merger club, so it's not the oldest club in the world, but do you have any older Lions or maybe previous historic Lions that you consider your favorite?
Probably Luke Hodge is my big favorite. He was very accommodating when I was there. He actually was very excited to hear that the people in the United States liked footy. I got the chance after a round 9 game in 2019. I got a chance to meet all the players from the Lions, and Hodge is my favorite there. And I know he's played previously um, with Hawthorn and a couple other teams. So Haji is probably my favorite just because I'm new to the team, so I don't really know a whole lot of the older. I've watched a lot of videos on the Fitzroy Lions, so I think they have some cool logos from the Fitzroy days. But yeah, Charlie Cameron definitely is my favorite. Cam Rayner, probably my second favorite. Alan Christensen was one of my other favorites, but unfortunately he retired here recently. So so yeah, Charlie Cameron, just I love his tenacity, and kind of a cool insert. he actually follows American football, and he's a huge fan of Julio Jones of the Atlanta Falcons. And so I thought that was really cool that Charlie has an interest also in America, and also, with the vice versa, with the following Americans following the AFL over in Australia.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. I think I was listening to Triple M in Melbourne, and they actually did an interview with him, and I think he actually has a Julio Jones tattoo.
On his leg.
Yep, on
Yeah.
his leg, and he stays up till like 2 in the morning to watch Falcons games. So it's always kind of cool to hear like the kind of the reverse is that when they watch the NFL games and they're so fascinated by gridiron football over here. So always kind of a cool one. And I've always loved Charlie Cameron. I thought he was great when he was with the Crows, and I think when he moved up to the Lions, he's become one of their better players. So kind of piggybacking off of that, so as we kind of already discussed a little bit earlier, Brisbane had a really good season this year, kind of fell a little bit short there in the finals, but just kind of in your opinion, what are your thoughts kind of on last year's season? Were you happy with the progression? Were you a little disappointed they didn't get any further? And then kind of what are your thoughts on maybe next year?
So yeah, for this previous season, I think we had a great year. The biggest thing I think is we got over the hump with Richmond. We were 0-15 into this season playing against Richmond in our last 15 games or matches against them. So to finally get that monkey off the back, I think is a good confidence booster for the younger part of the team. And also, I think psychologically, in order, I think any AFL fan would say Richmond is the team to beat most years. This past year, obviously, they were solid. But yeah, I think, this year we learned a lot about ourselves and know that we can come back from, a lot of, we had a couple big deficits and we had a couple bad games, but, I think that's, this season is really a unique year. So I don't want to say I don't hold it in regard, but like it's kind of like a fluky year. But I think every Lions fan will say they were happy with the result, that we finally got over the hump with Richmond and beat them, and then making it all the way to being a match away from the grand final at home. I think would have been a storybook season. But I think the two best teams made it in this year. They just purely played a really, really good footy. And I think looking forward to next year, we had a couple guys retire due to injuries. Alan Christensen being one of them. I thought he was a very speedy guy up top there. But I think with most of the guys returning, I think you're going to see some of the draft picks might have a chance at, hopefully making the team. But I think we're looking good for next year. We returned most of our key players. We lost a couple people, but again, you can't keep everybody, which is the tough part of the game. And I think that's in any sport. Fans always are bummed to see like certain players go, but a team has to decide who is going to be their best 22. And, I think those are tough decisions to make. But at the end of the day, I think Coach Fagan has the guys lined up ready to go. And I think next year, hopefully, we'll be raising a flag. And hopefully the AFL, from what I'm hearing, is open to having the grand final outside of Melbourne again. But I guess we'll have to wait to see what happens with the boss man, Lucky Gillian. I can't remember how you say his last name. So, but yeah, so I'm interested to see how that plays out, because I think it's unique to have it somewhere different, but you also have the history of the MCG, and that's a huge day to people in Melbourne. And I think at least probably for next year, you probably should give it back to Melbourne, just allow their awesome people down there to experience the grand final weekend. I got the chance to be there a couple days before grand final last year, the year before, I'm sorry. And it's an environment like, I have never been to the Super Bowl, but I would think that that's what it's close to. And they have so much going on. It's a really, truly an experience. And hopefully, if the country's open next year for grand final, I'm hoping to make the trip down, regardless of who's playing, just to take in that atmosphere at the MCG.
Yeah, that would be pretty awesome. And Gil McLaughlin would be the name you're looking for.
Yeah, thank you. I'm sorry, I
Not a
totally
problem. Not
slipped
a
up on
problem.
that one.
I pay attention way too much. Plus the fact is he made way too many more statements than he normally does every year. So you almost kind of learn his name through osmosis after a while. But now, I completely agree with you. Like I really have loved Brisbane. I think their youth kind of caught up with them a little bit later on in the season. They were a little bit inconsistent sometimes kicking the goals, but there's so much youth and so much talent. But kind of backing off a little bit is, have you been keeping an eye on the off season? Draft picks, trades, all that stuff. Like, I mean, are you keeping an eye on that, or is it something that you're just kind of, well, I'll figure out the list once we get a little bit closer to the season?
I mean, I've been trying to keep up with it. I know that they've moved some picks around, when they traded, where they got or sign and trade with some of the players they got rid of. Um, but yeah, I kind of wait until the draft happens, and then I kind of like look up the guys that we pick up. And I mean, I have an idea of some of the people that are being they're being thrown out there as the potential pick. But for me, it's just like you kind of have to follow all the other teams to kind of see what's going to happen with, because like some picks are protected that they get it if with certain situations, trades, um money dumps in the sense. So yeah, I mean, I try to follow as close as I can, but there's a lot of movement, and until you're actually at the draft, that's when you wait and see like what's going on.
Mm. Because the biggest thing for me is with your off-season moves is that your team brings in probably one of the most intriguing forwards in the entire league is Joe Danaher. So I got to say, as a Brisbane fan, do you like the move? Do you think he brings an addition to your club, or do you think he kind of stifles the growth of a maybe an Eric Hipwood?
Yeah, I love Hipwood. So yeah, I mean, I think it's a solid pickup. It's just going to be interesting to see how everybody plays together. Because Joe's coming from,
Essendon.
um, what's that?
Essendon.
Yeah, sorry, I was trying to remember which where he was coming from, but yeah, I mean, I like the moves that we made. I was kind of sad with some of the moves that we let some of the players go, but I think Dana is gonna do really well. It's just a matter of chemistry, and that's something you're never really gonna have, unless you keep the team year after year, which never happens. But I think if you look at it, uh, it's just about building chemistry, and that's what off seasons like, especially this year. I think will be critical for any team is to build that unique chemistry, because you don't know how long you're going to be stuck with each other in a bubble. Because from what I'm hearing from some people is that they're considering a bubble for the first part of the season if things haven't progressed like they're expecting. So that's one thing. Chemistry, not just on the field but off the field. When you're stuck, because Mason Cox really alluded to some of the challenges. You're with these guys for he was away. I think it was like 13 or 14 weeks, and you're with these guys going, in the battle, and it's just unique. Like nobody this past year was probably ready for that type of environment over there.
Yeah, it was just such a unique change. It really was a situation where it was kind of surprising the two Victorian teams got to the grand final, because you would have thought maybe the Adelaide teams or the two Queensland teams, with your team Brisbane being a little bit more at home than most of the rest of the clubs, kind of being hubbed, shall we say, that it was really interesting to see kind of how this season went on. And I'm hoping that with Victoria having very, very few cases, you have the occasional case here in South Australia and New South Wales, and the way I kind of gather it through some of the things there is they're really hoping that for the Boxing Day test for cricket, they're hoping to actually have fans in there. So that's maybe a good sign that they may not hub, that they may actually be able to play in home matches and even with supporters, different stuff like that. But we'll definitely knock on wood or touch wood, as Australians say, to be sure
Yeah.
that happens. So kind of going off that, we kind of already discussed it a little bit, is AFLW. The Brisbane Lions do have their own club. Do you keep an eye on the Brisbane Lions ladies team, or are you
Uh,
kind of more of a Western Bulldogs fan following your good friend Danny Marshall?
yeah. So I follow. I mean, I look at their season, but I'm a true loyal Western Bulldogs supporter. Wherever Danny goes, if she ever changes teams, I believe she just re-signed. So I think she's down there for at least another year, maybe two. So I'll be a ardent supporter of the Western Bulldogs, and wherever Danny goes, definitely will follow, supporting her. She's an incredible athlete, incredible friend and teammate, and yeah, I mean, I watch the games. So when Danny's on, I usually will get up to watch those to support my friend and teammate. So go dogs, and hopefully Danny and them will get to play a full season this year.
I hope so too. I felt so bad for some of the ladies this year just because of the fact that when it hit, it was so close to the playoffs, and they just could not find a way to get through the end of that, and I just felt so bad for them. But I'm hoping that most of the trainings are going on regular nowadays, and they're hoping that they won't have to hub. But most of the girls have already said if they need to hub, they can. So that's kind of a good sign there that at least the AFLW season will get off to it. But we're kind of wrapping up here, and one question I love asking, especially new footy fans, is what's one game that you've seen that like is one of your favorite games, like a game that if you could go back and watch it again and again, what would it be? Like, what's your favorite footy game? Doesn't have to be a Lions game, but if it is, what is it?
Um, I'm actually going to go with grand final this 2020 year. Just getting to see Dusty Martin. He is one of my non-Lions favorite players. Just his tenacity that he plays with. Like I think that was an incredible game. Geelong, you wanted to kind of see. I'm drawing a blank on his name, but you kind of wanted to see him go out. The fairy tale ending to his career. But I think Joel Selwood, I think is the name I'm looking for.
Gary Ablett Jr.
Yes, thank you. Sorry.
No,
Um,
you're good. You're good.
yeah, but I think this year that was a pretty solid game. And then I'd probably go back to the Collingwood game where Mason played in his first game. That was one of my favorites to watch, especially, given that Mason was in it. The first American comes on, kicks 2 goals. But yeah, and then I'd also have to probably give credit to the other game that I enjoyed watching was Danny's first game where she scored her first goal on her first kick. So, that's a little more personal for me. But yeah, I'd probably say those are my favorite games that I've watched in recent.
Awesome, awesome, and several really good games. Are you talking about the Anzac game where he kicks the first goal of the game with Mason Cox?
Uh, yes, correct. I'm
Yep.
sorry.
No, you're good.
Uh,
I was just trying to be sure. I didn't know if we were going to talk about the preliminary final against Richmond, or were we talking when his actual debut when he faced when he faced Collingwood in the Anzac game, because I still remember the commentator even hopping on there is, I can't believe that just happened. An American kicks the first goal on Anzac Day. I don't
yeah,
believe it. I don't believe it. So it's those great calls, those great calls. But Sam, this has been an awesome chat with you. It's definitely cool to have that little connection with Danny Marshall. I think a lot of us here in the States that are USAFL alums or USAFL players, we all kind of hold on to Danny like she's one of our own. We may not all have played in Arizona like you had the pleasure of doing and continue to now, but I think all of us kind of take pride in having her being an alumna of the USAFL, being the only USAFL graduate to be able to play in any AFL, whether AFLW or the AFL. So next time that you talk, tell her all of the USAFL is cheering for her. And personally, from me, the next time you talk to her, if you could have her reach out, I would love to have a chat with her, just about the AFL, not even just about her, but just about the AFLW, kind of what's the biggest differences, different stuff like that. I mean, no rush. It'd be awesome to be able to do that. But
Yeah,
this
I'll
has been
definitely get you in contact there. So
that
yeah.
is awesome. That is awesome. I truly appreciate it. It has been an awesome pleasure. Uh, if you want to, do you have any shout outs for your blog you were talking about? Anything else that you do online? Anything like that, that in case people like Brisbane Lion fans want to get in touch with you? Anything your kind of internet reach?
Yeah, I'm on Twitter, Facebook, but yeah, I have a travel blog about Australia called Travelroo. Um, yeah, just trying to share the great country of Australia and my passion for it. Hopefully, 2021 will give us some more exclusive content, some big stuff once the borders open. I have access to. But yeah, check out Travelroo. I appreciate anybody checking it out. We have some. We're going to be interviewing the MCG, the GABA. I've tried to reach out to a lot of the historic grounds, and so that's kind of, I'm trying to bring a little sports twist into it as well. Due to the pandemic, though, a lot of things are on hold, so a lot of staffing is not in their offices. But yeah, definitely, I just want to give a shout out to the Arizona Hawks, Coach Henderson, Darren, all the Hawks, Danny. We love you, miss you. Hope you're doing well over there. We hope for a successful season, but and then go Mason Cox.
Getting all the Americans in there, getting all the Americans. Sam, it has been a true pleasure chatting with you, sir. Stay safe, stay healthy there in Arizona, sir, and you have yourself a good evening, okay?
You too, Donnie. Thanks for having me on.
All right, we'll check you guys later.